God, what if I forget the lines? Down the camera. Oh my God, I can't believe Tybalt killed my husband. I was worried about anything relating to Hamlet.
What are your first experiences of Shakespeare?
My first experience of Shakespeare was studying Romeo and Juliet in school, and having this book that had the way Shakespeare had written it and everything that he'd kind of written, and then the modern day translation on the side. And everyone in my class used to kind of complain and say that they didn't understand why we were studying something that didn't, like, that you had to have a translation of on the side. Yeah.
Do you think you'd have understood it if you didn't have that translation?
Probably not at the time. I think I was about 12 or something, and like I wasn't. Yeah, no, I don't think I would have understood it if I hadn't have had that. Now though, like when I read it again, I've definitely, like, it's much more interesting to read, because you read it once and then you can go over every line and like imagine exactly. It's so descriptive when you really look at it. You can imagine exactly what they're feeling, and it's so much more in detail than just, like, I don't know, the way we'd write it now, I think. Maybe because it's easier to understand in modern language, that you don't actually sit and think about each line and what they're really feeling. Like there's a monologue that Juliet does in Romeo and Juliet, and she, when Tybalt's been killed by Romeo kills Tybalt, but she finds out that Tybalt would have killed Romeo, and she's like torn between, she doesn't understand why she's upset, because her husband is still alive and Romeo would have killed him. Tybalt would have killed Romeo. But she's still like really torn, and I don't think he would have got nearly as close to feeling how she feels if it was in modern language, because you're not forced to think about it as much. And you can take your own, it can become your own, because you're making your own interpretation and using your own experiences and what you've kind of gone through in the past, and translating that to how he's put it. It makes it much more personal to you.
Yeah.
Just like kind of, if you read a quote, it's usually written in kind of slightly cryptically. So you read it and then you think about it, and that's why some people, I think, like quotes and some people don't like the same quote, because in their experience, it doesn't really make that much sense, because they've never experienced something where that quote would make sense. But with Shakespeare, it's like every line is a quote, and so it means something individually to you. So you can make it a lot, as an actor, you can make it a lot more real, even though it doesn't sound naturalistic for a modern kind of audience. That's why I like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, because I had this drama teacher who always used to say that Shakespeare, he hated what Shakespeare had become, because when he wrote it at the time, that was just how people spoke. But now a lot of Shakespearean actors make it this like really big like emphasis on every line, like not making it naturalistic in the way that they speak and the tone. And he said that he thought that made it something that it was never intended to be, and that's why like he wasn't a fan of it now. But in Baz Luhrmann's one, he takes like a modern setting, modern characters, and the way they speak the lines is, I think, how probably Shakespeare meant them to be spoken, like just as you would say them in normal everyday life, not like every single line was like this big deal. It's just kind of said normally. Some actors, Shakespearean actors, or any actors, when they're given Shakespeare, they kind of
disclaim or
it's like
kind of,
like make it all kind of big.
I know what you're saying, yeah.